Hello, Guitar Smarts fans. Before you check out this podcast, I want to make you aware of a cool new place where you can interact with other Guitar Smarts listeners. It's a Facebook group called the Guitar Geek Hangout. That's where we hang out and talk about all things guitar. So, if you like the Guitar Smarts podcast, come and chat with Kieran and myself over in the Guitar Geek Hangout on Facebook. Maybe check out some pre-podcast clips and even get involved in asking and answering lots of questions from the other page dwellers. Hope to see you there. That's an incredible story, actually.
That's a ridiculously cool story.
That entire take of that song, the song that went on to be Beat It and that you hear, it was rescued from almost being lost by Jeff Piccard.
By Toto.
Toto, basically. Yeah, Toto basically saved that record. Greetings, welcome to this week's episode of the Guitar Smarts podcast. This week we are running the first ever Guitar Smarts virtual pub quiz. Kieran and I are asking 10 questions each on various guitar related subjects to see who knows the most random information about all things guitar. Please join us and play along. Let us know on our social media pages what your scores were. There may be a prize, but you'll have to listen to the podcast to find out more. Remember to give the podcast a follow, like or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. That way you don't miss another show. I've left some links in the description of this podcast that will take you to our merch store, our Buy Me a Coffee page, our Instagram and Facebook social media pages, and also places where you can leave the podcast a rating or a review. Please do this if you have the time. It really helps us to get our show out into the ears of more guitarists and musicians like you. Anyway, that's enough from me. Let's get to it. Hey Kieran, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, really good, mate. Really good. It is Friday. We were just saying before we started recording how freezing cold it is in the UK at the moment. I mean, it's probably not cold by Canadian standards, but yeah, it's
the frozen wastelands of Canada. Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. Actually, I mean, what is it? When I was defrosting the car this morning,
yeah.
Before Lucy did the school run, the car was saying it was like -5 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not as cold as like, you know, Canada? How do you say Canada? Yeah, it's not like, you know, frozen tundra cold, but it is cold enough, isn't it?
It is cold. And I'm properly feeling like a whinging, grumpy old man at the moment. But like the price of energy in the bills at the moment, it's just insane, man. So I'm making a choice to not put the heating on and just put extra jumpers on, man, because it's too expensive.
Yeah. My energy supplier went bust at the end of the year. Last year, and I just got moved over to another energy supplier, and I haven't had my first bill from them yet.
Yeah.
Not particularly looking forward to it, but you know, this is the way life's going to be for the next couple of years, I guess, isn't it? Things are going to be expensive for a while.
That's it.
Such is life.
Yeah. Well, my energy supplier went bust at the end of last year as well, and we've been moved over. So I've done inordinate amounts of research and stuff to see how to minimise energy bills. So if you want to talk about that later, when it's more appropriate, like not within the Guitar Smarts podcast. Otherwise, we might lose our audience who think they've joined Energy Watch or something. Yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah, actually, that would be a good thing. So, Kieran, have you done anything? Any guitar news this week? Anything interesting from the?
Yeah, I went to a guitar shop this week to keep auditioning. I don't know why, but I've got this thing where I feel like I want a new acoustic guitar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need a new acoustic guitar. I don't need one.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like the current acoustic guitar that I've got, whilst it's good and super playable, it's just like, it just plays like an absolute dream, but that's because it's been set up within an inch of its life. And I've had it since I was a teenager, working in a guitar shop, and it's beautiful and it has huge sentimental value. But I just know that there are better sounding acoustic guitars out there. So for the last couple of weeks, I've been auditioning some in guitar shops, and I can't find something that I really like. So yeah, that's something I've been up to over the last week. Going to guitar shops, Matt, and being disappointed, and that never normally happens to
my
me.
world.
so now I feel like you feel. And you go, it's like I walked out of a guitar shop for the second time in as many weeks, and just went, that was really disappointing. I haven't bought anything. So now I just feel like I've wasted my entire time. I'll go home now.
What is it? I mean, have you taken your own guitar with you to these shops when you've been?
It's a really good point.
Acoustics.
I said to myself I would on this second outing, and then I realised I hadn't changed the strings on it for a while, and if I did buy something, I didn't know if I'd have the space in the trunk of my car to fit both guitars, etc. Blah blah blah. List of excuses. So in the end, I didn't. But that is a really good top tip, right? If you think there's something you don't like about the sound of your guitar or the playability of your guitar, and you're looking to change it, take it along and A/B versus the stuff you're trying out. So you can say, okay, yeah, this one's got a bit more bass than my guitar, or it's got a bit more kind of volume to it, or it just, has a better neck feel to it, or whatever. So you can make a contrast. But to be honest, I know this acoustic guitar so well. It's done a lot of gigs with me. It's traveled a lot with me, and I've had it for so many years that my hand automatically, when it picks up another guitar, can almost from memory, and my ear can almost say, okay, this is how it compares to your guitar. But yeah, it is a good tip to take it along.
Yeah, I think it's something people should do, particularly for acoustics, right? Because inherently, you never really know what an acoustic sounds like. An acoustic is the sound of the guitar and the room. That's the nature of acoustic instruments, isn't it?
Yes.
It'll change from room to room. So
it will.
Yeah.
It will.
So do that next time. Fantastic.
Yeah. But I've been trying it a bunch. I've been trying Larives. I've been trying Guilds. I've been trying Taylors. I've been trying Faith acoustics. Quite nice, actually.
Yeah,
I must say.
I've heard good things about them. They're in quite a good range price wise as well, aren't they?
They
don't have to spend a huge amount to get a good guitar from those guys.
No, and what I hadn't realised is that I think they're out of the same kind of lineage as like the Patrick Eggle type stuff. So yeah,
okay.
It's so yeah, some good guitars out there. There is some good stuff, but I don't know. The prices of acoustic guitars is like a budget. Like even when you read the guitar magazines and stuff now, an entry level budget acoustic guitar is considered anything sub £1,000 these days.
Wow,
which I think is quite a high price threshold to say like a £700, £800 or dollar guitar is a budget entry level acoustic. Because I remember buying my first like proper acoustics from the likes of Washburn or some of the budget Fender stuff that used to be around. They were, I mean, this was going back a few decades, but that was like a couple of $100, but and you can get acoustics out there for that type of money, but I think they're generally considered to be like true beginner, cheap instruments rather than kind of just a good value entry level guitar. So yeah, interesting. So yeah, and from what I've been trying over this last couple of weeks, it does seem to me that in order to get anything that is going to be significantly better than what I've already got, I'm going to be needing to spend upwards of £1,000, $1,000, which yeah, it's not I don't think really justified if it's something I'm not gigging a lot. So there you go. Yeah, acoustic guitars. Why are they so expensive? Why are good ones so expensive?
I know. It's hard, isn't it? It's because there's so much variation in acoustic instruments.
Yeah.
It's almost, I feel like I can talk all day about electric instruments, but acoustic instruments, I feel like it's a little bit of an unknown art, and I've played all kinds of electric guitars in my life and very few acoustics that, I love playing acoustic guitar, and I love the sound of a good acoustic guitar. But I'm very, even after all this time, I still feel very inexperienced when it comes to acoustics. Something like that needs to change this year, I think. Maybe I need to think about, investing in a decent acoustic as well over the coming years. But for me this week, I'd noticed that Epiphone had recently released a new, inspired by Gibson 335 style guitar.
Yeah.
And oh man, it's gone straight to the top of the list for me in terms of things I want to try. Yeah,
above the Gretsch that you've been fantasizing about.
I think
for
it's
years.
Standing there shoulder to shoulder next to the Gretsch as the guitar that I want to get. I think I want to try the two out and just kind of go, okay, that's the thing I'm going to get this year.
Yeah,
but I love the look of that figured maple 335 that they've got, inspired by Gibson 335 figured. And it's just got some nice appointments which really make it look like a nice luxury instrument. Obviously, the figured veneer that it's got over the maple. And also the small block inlays on the fretboard look fantastic. They look so cool, and it just looks like such a beautifully made guitar. And the reviews of it as well online are just fantastic. And it's so well priced as well. I mean, we're talking like $600, $600.
That's really good.
But an Epiphone are knocking it out of the park these days as well. And it's got the open book Gibson headstock on it as well. It still comes out at the bottom part of the headstock like an Epiphone does.
Yes.
So the Gibson headstock obviously is wider at the top where you've got the open book design.
Yes.
But an Epiphone's wider at the bottom.
Yeah.
So it's a bit more like a Gibson
style headstock. It's a hybrid like a of the two, and it does look better. And I've seen it. For sure it does. I've seen it in the flesh, and I'm like, yeah, that does look better. There's always something that has absolutely bugged me, and I've got Epiphone
me too.
Guitars, and you kind of live with it, but I always felt it, and it's such a weird thing, isn't it? This little small little dimension changes and slightly different design of the headstock just can throw the balance visually, not physically, but can just throw the balance of how the instrument looks. And it's, it's never quite sat right with me on certain instruments, the Epiphone headstock. Yeah. But there you go.
I just want to try them out though. I mean, it's been too long since I've been to a guitar shop and tried something out. I mean, we're talking years, so it needs to be done soon. Let's get it in the diary.
Mate, I'm up for it. I keep telling you, let's go guitar shopping, and then you keep going, oh, I can't, I've got a headache, oh, I'm washing my hair, I can't, the grass is on fire, something happens. Whereas I just go into them regularly just to try. I'm just like, sell me something, somebody sell me something, but no one has sold me something yet. Anyway.
Let's get on what we're doing this week, right? This week we've decided to basically do a Guitar Smarts pub quiz. I think originally we called this Guitar Smarts Mastermind, but no, this is more of a pub quiz, right? We're going to 10 questions each. You're quizzing me and I'm quizzing you. 10 questions each, just on guitar related stuff, whether it's music or guitar or anything like that. And we're going to see who comes out on top. But the good thing is, obviously, our listeners can play along. They can listen. You can pause it where you want, and you can write down your answers, and then see if you're right. And I think what we should do, or at least this is what I'm thinking, is we should do kind of one question at a time each.
Yeah.
I ask you one, you ask me one, and we'll tell you if
cool.
Rather than go through it at the end. See who's right. Let's just say if we're correct or not at the time, and we can just get to the end and see how we've done. So
that sounds great. So there's huge prizes at stake, namely pride and bragging rights.
Pride and bragging rights definitely at stake. Yeah.
So between me and you, it's basically whoever gets the most out of 10. Right? And then for our listeners, it's whatever score they can get out of 20. So as you said, pause it after the question, write down your answer, or mentally write. Don't cheat. No one cheat.
No,
this.
absolutely no cheating, no good.
Let's see. And for anyone that writes in, I have got some merch actually from some of the people at Music Nomad that we could send out actually to anyone that writes in and tells us how much they got out of 20 genuinely. So write in, tell us how much you got, and I'll send you some merch.
Absolutely, that's amazing, fantastic. You heard it here.
There you go.
And what I also might do, just to elevate the suspense, is I might even add some music in the background, and some sounds, some kind of correct answer, wrong answer sounds. Who knows? Let's see what happens in the edit.
Mate, I know you're going to win this because the silly thing is, yeah, I do, because I've been doing this show with you for like the last year, and the amount of things I've learned where I've gone, I didn't know that. Yeah, how does he know that? And you just know it. You have an encyclopedic knowledge of like random guitar stuff. So,
but to be fair, most of the questions I've got for you, I didn't know the answer to most of them until I did some research to try and write some questions. So.
Brilliant. Okay, cool. Let's see. I wonder if we've got any clashes as well, but we'll find out.
Yeah,
that's because we haven't compared questions. So, all right, here we go. All right.
Shall I kick off?
Please, sir. Go.
So here we are, the Guitar Smarts pub quiz. Sorry to interrupt this quiz, but if you've got this far, maybe you should subscribe, follow, or like this podcast so that you never miss another show. Pause it here, go and do that now, then let's get back to the show. Question number one. Kieran, right. In what year was the Gibson Mandolin Guitar Manufacturing Company founded by Orville Gibson? And this is multiple choice, okay?
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, that's kind. That is kind.
This one, not all questions are multiple choice. This one is so.
Sure.
So multiple. I'll just repeat that. In what year was the Gibson Mandolin Guitar Manufacturing Company founded by Orville Gibson? Was it A, 1902? Was it B, 1894?
Or
was it C, 1906?
What was it? What was the first one?
1902.
Okay, 1902, 1906, or 1894? Did you say? Wow. Okay. I'm gonna volunteer. I have no idea whatsoever. But I think there's something in the clue, right? Because what I do know is when the first kind of electric guitars, acoustic guitars started to come into production. And prior to that, it was a lot of ukuleles, mandolins, that kind of thing. So yeah, this is going to be early. Is it as early as 1894? I don't know. I'm gonna hedge my bet and go 1902. It still sounds phenomenally early, but that's
correct.
That's where I'm going.
I could say you are correct.
Is that right?
This is 1902. Yes. So Orville Gibson started making instruments in 1894.
Okay.
But he didn't found the company, Gibson Mandolin Guitar Manufacturing Company, until 1902. And then 1906 was just a red herring. But well done, Kieran. You got that one absolutely correct.
By process of random elimination and complete guesswork. So not due to any foresight or knowledge, just guessing there, really. Okay, mate. Here's your first question. Okay. I love this. This is great. I feel we need beer of some description.
This is actually, this would be a good thing to do alongside a nice beer or single malt or something like that.
Yeah. And actually in a pub with loads of guitar nerds rather than just the two of us.
That's true. That would be good.
Still, I'm having a great time nonetheless. Right. Okay. Question number one for you, Matt. So a history question as well excellent. For you. So what was Fender's first model of guitar? A nice easy one, but I'll give you a multiple choice because it might lead you awry. So Fender's first model of guitar, was it A, the Stratocaster, B, the Telecaster, C, the Broadcaster, or D, the Jazzmaster?
Say those again. Was it A?
I will say. So Fender's first model of guitar that they put into production, was it the Stratocaster, B, Telecaster, C, Broadcaster, or D, Jazzmaster?
Right. Okay. So I'm almost certain it's not the Jazzmaster. I'm pretty certain that the Jazzmaster came in either in the late 50s or in the 60s. So we're talking 10 years into production. Now I'm almost certain as well that I think the Strat came after the Telly, because you hear about 52 Tellys, and I never heard about anything earlier than like a 54 Strat. Oh. So I think it's something between a Telly and a broadcaster. Oh, suspenseful music. I'm going to go with broadcaster. I'm going to guess broadcaster.
Sir, you are correct, and I love the logic you use to deduce to the correct answer. You are right. You are absolutely right. And do you know what? Actually, mate, I went through the same process as you. I wasn't quite sure. I was like, was it the Telly or was it the broadcaster? Because in my mind, I couldn't quite remember what the broadcaster looked like, but I thought it looked kind of similar to a Telly. So I was like, it's got to be one of those two. Anyway, you're right. It was the broadcaster, which was basically the prototype of the Telecaster. And they released the broadcaster in 1950, 1951. There's a bit of a debate.
That early?
On Tinternet. Yeah, 1950.
Wow. And
it was designed to be the first electric Spanish guitar. That was the design concept. We want to make an electric Spanish guitar, and that was then the broadcaster. That then very quickly, as you said, like in the early 50s, became the Telecaster, because I think the broadcaster just had the one pickup, so they evolved it a little bit, tweaked it a bit, and then it became the Telly as we know and love it. So, yeah.
Wow, okay. Fantastic. See, I'm learning something every day. Brilliant. This is a good thing. So we are 1 for 1 in the score.
We are 1 for 1. Yeah, we've got off to a good start. There we go.
We have got off to a good start. We both
settled our nerves a bit there. We can at least walk away from this quiz going, all right, we've got one question, right?
Right, Kieran, are you ready for your next question?
Ready, sir.
Fantastic. Okay, so the 1963 or 64 Strat, played by Stevie Ray Vaughan, known as his number one guitar, was nicknamed Lenny. But who was Lenny?
Oh, see, if you'd have asked me any bits of that question up until then, I would have been like, because I was thinking it was called Lenny. It was Stevie Ray Vaughan. So I think Lenny was a girlfriend or wife, and then that was the namesake for the song Lenny as well. But I couldn't tell you if it was his girlfriend or his wife, but I think it was a partner of some description.
I'm going to give it to you. It was his wife, Lenora. Yes, so it was named after his wife. And you're right, the song Lenny was also named after her. Obviously, why would it be any other Lenny? But you don't get any bonus points. You don't get any bonus points for that.
I don't know whether I should get a full point or not. I might give myself half a point because I was a bit undecided.
No. That's a full point.
Full point. All right. Well, that's very generous. That's very generous of you. That's very generous.
Got it right.
Very generous. Well, thank you, mate. Thank you. And knowing me as you do, as a Stevie Ray Vaughan fan, I appreciate the question. And I've done you a favour later on, I think.
Yeah. Good. I think I've done you a few favours actually. Maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah. 8 more questions on Guns N' Roses and Slash. Brilliant. Thanks. and Stevie Ray Vaughan. Yeah. Okay. All right. Number 2. Right. Okay. Right. So, a simple question, but with quite a complex answer. So, if you don't get it exactly right, there's plenty of other opportunities to earn points on this one because it's not an exact answer. What does SG stand for in the Gibson SG model? You're going to kick yourself because you do know this. Because you do. I know you know.
I think I do. Now I know what ES stands for in the ES guitars. So
I don't.
I think it means electric Spanish. But SG, I'm going to go with solid guitar. No?
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
yes, you're absolutely right.
Is that right? It stands for solid guitar. Okay.
It does. Do you want a little bit more details on the backstory?
Absolutely.
Of
I think, I mean, right. Eddie, this is a good thing about this, right? Is that we can go through these questions, but we can elaborate and, inform our listeners on extra little things. Cool.
So, though it was launched in 1961, the SG only became known as the SG in 1963. Right. So before then, it was known as the Les Paul. It was the new Les Paul, exactly. Because around 1959, the Les Paul model, as we knew it, was discontinued. Indefinitely, because obviously it came back again in 1960 when they realised how popular it was. But they actually discontinued that current looking Les Paul that we know and love and replaced it with what we now know is the SG model. Now, it was basically Les Paul was involved in the original Les Paul in 1959. But then there's a couple of things that kind of float around on the internet forums and general wisdom around this, which is by 1962, Les Paul's endorsement and contract was up for renegotiation, and they didn't continue with him in developing any more guitars in that way. So he didn't want another model bearing his name. There is rumor that there was a piece of discrepancy between him and Gibson, and they wanted to continue to have his name, and he was then suing Gibson because they wouldn't remove his name from the SG. So some people think that SG stands for sued Gibson, which I think that doesn't sound quite right to me.
No, why would they do that? They were the ones that were suing everyone else. Later on.
True. So I would have accepted the conspiracy theory answer, which is sued Gibson, which some people believe in. That sounds a bit naff to me. I think it is indeed, as you say, solid guitar, but by all accounts, and I think what is true is that Les Paul wasn't particularly fond of the SG. And he wasn't particularly happy to have his name endorsing something that had his name on it, but that he wasn't a particular fan of it. It wasn't 100% behind. The other answer, and oftentimes the simplest answer is the best, but I don't believe this one, is that there was some manufacturing issues and they actually ran out of Les Paul truss rod covers. Which was the bit that had Les Paul on the SG.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so they just went, well, we can't call it a Les Paul because it doesn't say Les Paul on it, so let's just call it an SG instead. Who knows? Let's go with solid guitar, because that, I think, is what most people think is the answer.
Fantastic. Well, that's interesting. I did know, actually, that it was introduced first as the Les Paul and then it became the SG, but I didn't know the reason why it changed. I wondered if it was just more interest in the original Les Paul shape come back into play a few years afterwards, and they decided to bring it back and then change the SG to SG, as we know it now. Interesting, right, Kieran? So we're 2 for 2, right? We're 2 for 2 each.
We are 2 for 2. Yeah,
we're doing all right. We're doing okay. So, right, are you ready for question number 3?
I'm ready, mate. I am ready.
Okay. You should know this one, but this is a good question nonetheless. Right, in 1987, Jim Marshall celebrated 25 years in the amplifier business and 50 years in the music industry with the release of what amplifier?
Hold on. So this wasn't the Silver Jubilee, the one that came out on the 25th anniversary. So, yeah. So is that the question? What was the amp model that he released on the 25th anniversary of Marshall? I think it was the Silver Jubilee.
Correct.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite models of Marshall.
Yes. It was actually, from what I understand, it was actually just called the Jubilee, not the Silver Jubilee. But it was silver in colour for that year that it was the Silver Jubilee.
Right.
And yeah, fantastic amp, typified by Slash's live work with Guns N' Roses. But I didn't know until I did some research on this amp to accompany the question that he didn't use that amp in the studio, so that amp never appears in any of Guns N' Roses' album work. That was a modified JMP, or it was a modified JCM 800.
That's right.
But the Silver Jubilee itself is based off the JCM 800, but it has a different preamp. It has also a pull-out activated diode clipping circuit, which is like similar to putting an overdrive in front of it. So it was, it was really preferred by a lot of guitarists that wanted more gain than the JCM 800.
Yeah.
Did you know this? I didn't know this. After the Jubilee year, so the production of the Jubilee amp continued after the year for one more year with no internal changes, but it reverted to the standard Marshall livery of black and gold. And these are sometimes referred to as the JCM 800 custom amplifiers. So they're quite sought-after amplifiers. You can buy the Jubilee amp, but still in black and gold.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, because they only produced those silver ones for the actual year that it was the 25th and the 50th anniversary of Jim Marshall being in the music business. So that particular model of amplifiers, obviously Marshall have names like JCM 800 stuff, but they also have model numbers, don't they? Yeah, the model numbers were the 2555 for the 100-watt version, and the 2550 for the 50-watt version. Yeah, 2550 and 2550 being the Jubilee anniversary, 25 years, and the 50-year anniversary of Jim being in the industry. So interesting. Yeah, that was quite a seminal amplifier. That was one of the first really high gain, loud Marshalls. Really, up until that point, Marshalls really were kind of the highest gain amps you could get, but by today's standards, really they're mid gain amplifiers. Coming out of the JTM series and into the JMP series and stuff. So yeah, a very seminal amplifier.
A lot of people like using them as well, I think, live, not just Slash. I think he gave it certainly notoriety. And I think it's testament to its popularity that even nowadays, the Marshall are producing the Studio Series amps, right, which are the same circuitry, same sound profile of those big 100-watt, 50-watt heads that they used to use, but they're recognizing that actually in this day and age, people don't want to lug around 4x12s or need that level of wattage. So now their Studio Series amps are, rated at 20 watts, I think, and it's even, you can attenuate them down to 5 watts or even 1 watt, I think some of them run at. But the first ones that they brought out were the JCM 800 and a Silver Jubilee one as well. So still a popular amp these days. But good question. Good question, mate.
Well done for getting it right. That's 3 out of 3 for you, mate.
3 for 3. Well, I definitely think you're going to get this next one, but I had to include it because I thought it was quite. Because I always kind of wondered about this. So, I'll tell you when I get to the description. So your question number 3, mate, is. In 1957, Gibson began using PAF pickups on their guitars. What does PAF stand for?
Okay. No, I know this one. Right?
I know this.
But I don't know the history or the story behind it, actually.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, right, so interesting to find out. But I believe the correct answer is patent applied for.
Correct. Which is as far as my knowledge went, but it's one of those things that's always bugs me. It's just like, I know what patent applied for means, but I was like, but what, where does that story go? Did they ever get a patent? What happens with that?
But why were they known as PAF also? Is it because that was stamped on the pickup? Was that...
Right.
Is that right?
So you're right, actually. You should probably get a bonus point for that. So the PAF is a humbucker which uses 2 coils to minimize unwanted sound from the guitar. We know that. And it was invented by Seth Lover in 1955. Okay, so in late 57, a black sticker with gold lettering was applied to each pickup's underside that read patent applied for. So over time, the patent applied for sticker present on those pickups evolved into that acronym of PAF. And that's, how you would identify those, really sought after original vintage pickups is that black and gold sticker with PAF. So this is the bit that I didn't know, which kind of closed the loop of the story for me, which had always bugged me, because we still call them PAFs, right? The patent for Gibson's design was eventually issued on July 28th, 1959. So they did get their patent, but that was some time ago, and we still call them PAFs, even though the patent did come through in 1959.
Yeah. Did the patent remove any tone?
Well, I think if you took the sticker off them, it basically reverted back to being a single coil, and you lost all of the noise cancelling functionality. And it turned out that actually it was the sticker that should have been patented. It wasn't really the coils itself. So definitely. I mean, if you speak to Joe Bonamassa, he'll tell you it's all about that sticker on the back.
That's right, yeah. So did you just say cork sniffing?
Cork sniffing. Right, hold on. This gets the plot gets thicker on this one. There's more. There's more. I tell you, the story doesn't end there. Right. So they can never accuse the Guitar Smarts podcast of not being educational. It's a very limited bandwidth of education that serves no purpose. But to be honest, my college degree falls into the same category. Right. So in 1978. The actual word PAF, so without, not P.A.F. not an acronym.
The actual
word PAF was registered as a trademark by DiMarzio.
No way.
Yeah, clever, you see. So that caused a whole bunch of confusion, because DiMarzio then started marketing PAF pickups, which, and they can say things like original PAF pickup, but, that's because they've just patented or registered the trademark on that word. So the registered trademark PAF should not in any way be confused with the original P.A.F. acronym used to describe original vintage pickups. There you go. That one's always bugged me, mate, and well done. You've obviously got that right, but
thank you. Again, I feel enriched as well with information, because it's again an answer I knew, but I didn't know the story behind it. So thank you for that. Are you ready for your fourth question, Kieran?
Fourth, fire away, buddy.
Okay, this is a tough one, I reckon. Okay. But I didn't know this. Right, okay. Fender are known for their fantastic history of building tube amplifiers. In what decade did they begin building solid-state amplifiers? And this is multiple choice. Okay?
Okay. Thank you. Yeah, okay.
No worries. So, did they start it in A, the 1960s, B, the 1970s, or C, the 1980s?
I don't think it was until the 80s. I could be wrong, but I don't know. I'm going to go 80s.
You're wrong.
Oh,
we have. He's got one wrong.
I've got one wrong, everyone.
When do you think it might be now?
Well, was it the 70s then?
Nope.
60s, really?
1966. They released the first range. Let me give you some information, because I didn't realise this. And actually, this goes to show you how things come full circle. So Fender's first transistor amplifiers were in 1966, and at the time they were the company's flagship range, and they were aimed to make tube-based designs obsolete. How hilarious is that?
Wow.
That was their intention. They wanted to make tube-based designs obsolete. I think maybe struggling with manufacturing process, getting hold of parts, whether it was the reliability of the amps themselves. So they were naturally given traditional Fender model names as well. So the earliest was the Dual Showman, Twin Reverb, the Bassman. They were given the normal names, right?
Right.
And other products in the line were things like the solid-state reverb units, which some people still use today. They're quite sought after units as like a, outboard reverb unit. Solid-state PA systems, the Super Reverb, Pro Reverb, Vibrolux Reverb, Deluxe Reverb, all followed in 1967. So there was a huge range of solid-state amps made by Fender in the mid-60s.
But they called them the same names as the cheap counterparts. They called them the same
names because they wanted to, Now, fast forward a little bit to 2019, at the NAMM Winter Show, and Fender released their first foray into the modelling amp world. Not like the Mustang amps, where it's like a multi effects system built into an amp, but they release the Fender Deluxe Tone Master series, which is just it's basically a Fender Deluxe amp, 1x12. Looks exactly like a Fender Deluxe, but instead of it being a 5 amp, it's a modelling amp, and they named it after. And in the last couple of years, they've released a super reverb as well, Tone Master. But it's kind of like history repeating itself. It's where Fender they're trying to produce these cheaper, more reliable and solid state or modelling based amplifiers, but they're making them look exactly like the tube amps. And I think when they did that recently, there's some really good reviews of those amps saying, yeah, they absolutely sound just utterly fantastic. But could they, what are Fender trying to do? Can they really compete with the tube amps? But Fender have tried to do this before as far back as the 1960s. I mean, we're talking, 50 plus years ago.
Wow.
So I couldn't believe it when I read that. I would have thought as well, if you'd just given me those answers and I hadn't known that information, I probably would have guessed 80s. I would have thought they probably would have started doing them 70s or probably 80s, doing some, solid state champs and things like that, some combos, some of the cheaper stuff. But no, 1960s. So there you go.
Mate, every day is a school day on the podcast. That's good knowledge, man. And that's good knowledge. And you know what? I think it is a really subjective thing about tone. And, I think it's the right thing to do, to try to keep pushing that balance with, amplification, solid state tube amps, because I've heard fantastic solid state amps. I've heard them where I go, that is definitely a tube amp. It's not a solid state. And you go, no, it's a solid state. And so,
absolutely,
and a good amp is a good amp. But that's been going on for a while. Been going on since the 60s. All right, mate. Well, look, so far this is it. This is this could be where you jump into the lead, and I think you will with this next question, because you've already said something during the course of this podcast, which makes me go, you know this already. So,
okay. Let's see.
Your next question, buddy. Question number 4 for you is, and it is multiple choice, but I don't think you'll need the multiple choice.
All right. Okay.
What year did the Stratocaster come out? What year did it go into manufacturing, production, and released into the stores? Was it A, 1952, B, 1954, C, 1955, or D, 1956?
Okay, yeah, I think 1954. I'm pretty certain.
You are absolutely spot on.
He takes the lead.
He's got into the lead, ladies and gentlemen. And very confidently so, I may say. Very confidently so. I thought it was earlier than 54. For some reason, I thought it was 52 in my head. I don't know why. I just thought I'd seen 52 Strats out there. No, it was 1954.
Fantastic.
1954. So it was introduced in spring of 1954 as Fender's new top-line guitar in both tremolo and non-trem versions. And it's, do you know how many they sold in 1954?
No, how many?
Virtually none.
Really?
That guitar was a flop for many years, even considering, rock and roll and stuff beginning to come through. The Strat as we know it, the design of the Strat didn't finally get locked in really until 1957. Between 1954 and 1957, it was almost canned because it just was not selling, wasn't doing well. People thought it was gimmicky. They didn't really like it. It didn't take off. Only until like 1956, 57 did people really start to pay attention to it. And then obviously it flew off the shelves and now still stands as the world's probably most purchased electric guitar.
Wow. I imagine Buddy Holly had something to do with that, right?
Quite possibly, mate. Quite possibly. But yeah, it was first priced at $249.50 for an American-made Fender Strat in 1954.
Which one you can get them for that now?
Yeah, well, exactly. I'd like to offer Joe Bonamassa that for one of his 1954 ones. Anyway, there you go. The history of the Stratocaster. But there you go. The first 3 or 4 years didn't really sell any.
Wow. So. I thought they were flying off the shelves from the start, to be honest.
No,
I don't know why I thought that.
Not at all. Okay, buddy, you're in the lead.
All right, then. So 4 to 3. Right, let's pick up the pace a little bit. So
let's pick up the pace.
Right, I'm sorry, I've got to do this to you, but I've got a music theory question in here. Okay.
Oh, I'm going to get this wrong.
No, I think you might get this right. Okay, trust your gut on this one.
I'll trust my gut.
So in music theory, what is the name of the method used to organise chromatic pitches into closely related groups? Is it A, and it's multiple choice, sorry, I should say.
Okay.
Is it reharmonisation? Is it B, the circle of fifths? Or is it... Yeah. Sorry, did I say B or C? Anyway, is it A, reharmonisation, B, the circle of fifths, or is it C, major scale modes?
Right, so repeat the question again, please.
In music theory, what is the name of the method used to organise chromatic pitches into closely related groups?
It's got to be the circle of fifths, hasn't it?
Correct. And there, might I just say, was the longest pause in Guitar Smart's podcast history.
It really was. Because I think I've admitted quite frequently to our listening audience, music theory and me are friends that are yet to be best friends, and so I will innately just question myself, because as soon as I heard it, I was like, well, yeah, that's a circle of fifths. But then I started going, hold on a minute. Is it modes? But it's not modes. Right.
Yeah, that was
good. Okay.
The modes one I thought might be a little bit of a red herring that might pull you the wrong way. But yeah, circle of fifths. It
almost did. Circle of fifths. Yes. Very good.
Fantastic.
Very good. Right. Okay. Right. Now, sir, this one, I think this is yours for the taking. Okay. Surely. Okay. Surely. It's often been commented that you are indeed a fan of this particular artist, but right, there was a guitar in musical legend called Blackie. Okay. I don't know if you're familiar with this or not, but this guitar, nicknamed Blackie, it sold in 2005 from its original owner. How much did it sell for?
Oh my God!
And I'll give you grace on this, to the nearest kind of reasonable amount. How much did it sell for, and who bought it?
I know. I don't know how much it sold for. I'm going to say.
And why was it sold?
This is quite a multi-layered question.
It is really.
So I don't know the figure. I'm pretty certain it was sub $1 million, but I don't know how close to $1 million it was. I'm going to say $900,000 it sold for.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, I think Guitar Center in the US bought it, and I think it was sold as part of the second. I'm pretty certain it was sold as part of the second guitar auction that Clapton held in aid of the Crossroads Rehabilitation Centre that he founded in Antigua.
Well, if I could give you 3 points for this question, I would, but I can't, so I won't. But you did absolutely nail it, mate. Yeah, absolutely. Clapton's Blackie sold on the 24th of June, 2004 at Christie's Auction House, New York, to raise funds, as we know, for his Crossroads Centre in Antigua for alcohol and drug abuse and treatment thereof. And it was purchased. This is the bit I couldn't remember. Who bought it. And you got it straight off the bat. It was Guitar Center that bought it.
Yeah.
And, you were a little bit off on the price, but I'm going to give it to you because in my head, I thought it sold for more than $1 million. And you didn't. You absolutely said, no, I think it was just under $1 million it sold for. And that was right. But it was actually 59,500.
Okay.
So a good 60,000 more than you said, but still, absolutely, you'll get the point on that. So, and at the time was the record for the world's most expensive guitar sale. So, yeah,
wow.
full points, mate, on that. Full points, definitely.
Not that I'm looking for additional points, but interesting fact about that guitar. Did you know that Clapton actually, sometime in the 60s when he was touring with Delaney and Bonnie, I think it was somewhere down in Nashville, he went to a guitar centre and I think he bought this, and again, this is around the time when Strats were still 10 a penny and still weren't that expensive. I think he bought 6 of these Strats from a guitar store. I think he gifted one to George Harrison, one to Steve Winwood, one to somebody else. I think Pete Townsend. Yeah. And then of the 3 that were left, he took the parts that he liked the most and built Blackie. So Blackie was never an original Strat anyway. It was a mongrel of multiple Strats that he liked the most from.
Absolutely, that came up in my research for that question, and I'm so impressed at your encyclopedic knowledge. Absolutely right, mate. Exactly right. Cool. Six guitars, 3 went to those artists that you mentioned exactly, and 3 were Frankensteined to create Blackie. That then went on to sell for nearly $1 million. There you go.
There we go. Right. Do you want your next question?
Yes, please, buddy.
Okay, so this is a little bit of an abstract one because it is guitar related, but it's to do with wood. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so in January of 2017, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, also known as CITES, in Geneva, Switzerland, passed a ban on the use of what of the following tone woods? Is it A, rosewood and bubinga? Is it B, ebony, or C, Sitka spruce?
No, it's rosewood. And certain types of rosewood as well from certain countries. I mean, they later then started to release it and allow rosewoods from other countries that were more sustainably producing rosewood to be imported freely. But things like Brazilian rosewood, Honduras mahogany for a time period as well went fall under this. And you've got to be really careful, even buying old guitars that don't have the right certification, but that have some of these woods in it. But it's a minefield. You do need to keep updated because these regulations change. So certain woods that were previously on the list can then later come off it and then be transported freely between different markets. So always, if you're taking a guitar, even in and out of countries, let alone purchasing them from abroad, always check what tone woods it's got on it and check the latest version of those regulations because they will confiscate it and you will never see it again.
Mate, you didn't even break a sweat. You just went straight in. You just hit the ground running with that answer and then gave us the whole lowdown on the entire site.
I felt I need to redeem myself after you just absolutely smashed the Blackie question.
Unbelievable.
Right? But you, my friend, are still admirably leading. What is that?
You're 5. Well, no, it's 5 each at the moment, but you've had one more question than me. So it's question number 6 for me, I think.
Okay. Question number 6, buddy.
Okay.
Again, I think I've gone too easy on this one. On what type of guitar did Jimmy Page record the solo Stairway to Heaven?
Oh, I have no idea. You're speaking to somebody who isn't a Led Zeppelin fan, remember?
Okay, so would you like a multiple choice?
No. I'm going to have a think about this because I need to get over my initial disappointment. Right.
In your mind's eye, Jimmy Page.
But Jimmy Page is obviously, when I picture Jimmy Page, he's playing a burst, he's playing a Les Paul, right? But I know for a fact, early, and Stairway to Heaven isn't early Led Zeppelin, but I know early Led Zeppelin, he played a Telecaster on some stuff. And he may even have played a Dan Electro on some things. I'm gonna guess Telecaster. Did he play a Telecaster?
Oh, you are too good. I was convinced I had you on that one. I was convinced.
Is it a Telecaster?
Mate, when I looked at this and this came up, yes, I mean, you are right. It was a Telecaster. I was convinced.
Complete guess.
I was absolutely convinced it was a Les Paul, and then maybe for the live renditions with the 12 string and stuff, then obviously the double neck SG. I could not for the life of me believe that this was a Telecaster. It was. So a lot of people think it was recorded on a Les Paul because, he's synonymous for that. However...
Well, that's a lucky point.
It was... no, I don't think it was, mate, because you correctly remembered that a lot of the early stuff, he was playing a Telecaster, and he was. Yeah. Quite religiously. It's a very specific 1959 Fender Telecaster that, in quotes, this is his quote, right? He said, I basically got my Fender Telecaster out for that solo, says Page. It was the same Telecaster that I played for years on the first album. It was the one that Jeff Beck had given me, that he'd used in the Yardbirds. He said, it's a legendary guitar. It's a magical guitar. So yeah, it was a no-brainer for him. That was his go-to guitar. So we all think of Jimmy Page as, playing Stairway Live on a double neck, but, synonymous with his Page number one, Les Paul. But no, he had a Fender Telecaster gifted to him by Jeff Beck. That was his go-to instrument.
Yeah. Well, it just goes to show you behind every Les Paul is a knackered Telecaster.
Absolutely.
Well, so I'm lucky there. I feel very lucky to have got that right.
That's you 6 for 6, mate.
6 for 6. But that is a fluke because I have no idea. I had very limited knowledge on Jimmy Page's guitar history, other than those few things. And it was a wild. I basically span a wheel in my head and it landed on Telecaster. Right. Next question for you, Kieran. Question number 7 for Kieran.
Yeah.
In 1988. Oh, hang on. I've got an alarm going off. Right. Question number 8 for you, Kieran. In number 7. Sorry. Question number 7 for you.
Yes, 7 for me. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. In 1988, Fender released their first 2 artist signature guitars. This is multiple choice, by the way. One of those guitars was Eric Clapton's Lace Sensor mid-booster pointed Strat, but who was the other guitarist releasing their signature model? Was it A, Jeff Beck?
I don't think I need the multiple choice on this.
No?
And the only reason I know is because I listened to the Guitar Smarts podcast with Matthew Oliver. Didn't you tell me this in a previous episode?
Have I told you
that? Oh, right. I think you told me this in an episode, like a really early episode.
Maybe it was the Signature Guitars episode we did, probably a good few months back.
Right, so I'll tell you what you told me.
Okay.
And so I'm pretty sure that I knew that Clapton's was one of the first signature models. And I think in a previous Guitar Smarts episode, you said to me, but do you know who the second one was?
Yeah.
And I said, and I guessed a bunch of artists and I was invariably true to form wrong on all of them. And you told me, I think that it was Yngwie Malmsteen who had the second one.
That's
and
correct.
Then we had a whole rant about scalloped fingerboards.
Yeah. I know. Forgot about that. Yeah, we really did have a whole rant about the scallop fingerboard. But you're absolutely correct. It is Yngwie Malmsteen, the Swedish hurricane. But what I was wrong about in that previous podcast is I said Eric Clapton's was the first and Yngwie's was the second. They released them at the same time. They were co-developed and they released 2 models at the same time. So they were both the first, really, Yngwie and old Dell. So well done. You are 6 out of 7. Still a valiant score.
Thank you, mate. And testament to the fact that you've increased my knowledge over this last year, because I didn't realise it was Yngwie, but you taught me that and I retained that. Right. Okay. Here we go, buddy. Right. I think you'll know this one because I think you're pretty good on your guitar history questions. Right. Okay, question number 7. What company did Leo Fender sell Fender to in 1965?
Oh.
Or to ask it in a more grammatically correct way.
Yeah.
Who bought Fender in 1965? Okay. Sorry, I really phrased that question poorly. Who bought Fender in 1965?
No, I got it. So, right, yes, I think I know the answer to this. This is, it's because you hear a lot of people talk about certain vintage instruments being pre-CBS.
Yeah.
So CBS, I'm assuming, is the company. I don't know what CBS stands for, though.
Okay. So look, let me ask it, because I've got a little bit of. So you're absolutely right, CBS, cool. Right? So, and I wrote down here bonus point. Can you tell me one difference between a pre-CBS and a CBS Strat?
Yes, I think I can. The number of bolts attaching the neck to the body. Did CBS change it to 3 at one point in the 70s?
Oh, interesting. I don't know.
Maybe that's wrong.
But now that you've said that, that's made me go, oh, did they? Okay. But no, I don't know. I don't know if they did.
Can I have another guess?
Yeah.
Size of the headstock.
Correct.
There we go. That's when you got the bigger 70s headstock, right? Okay.
Yeah, exactly right. So look, you're going to get the point for this question, buddy, because you have got it right. So look, it was CBS, fully named the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Okay.
Strange name for a company, but the Columbia Broadcasting System. And they bought Fender from Leo Fender for the princely sum of $13 million in 1965. And wow. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, these were regarded as quite mixed times for guitars produced in that era, right? Because you're losing the heritage of the founder of the company, all his kind of design nuances. And then CBS started to monkey around with the design of this iconic Strat that, had been locked in by then for quite a few years. So they took hold of the company in 1965, and they only made one small change at first, as legend has it, which was they put a new neck plate on the back where the guitar bolts on to the neck, and they put on it a big, large, stylized F logo. Now, I'm trying to think if I've seen some of those neck plates that are 3-screw rather than 4-screw. So something you said there kind of triggers in my brain, but I've definitely seen some of these CBS Strats that have got this big curly F on that neck plate. So that's one of the first things that that is the first thing that CBS presumably did, which some people at Fender weren't happy with. But the main thing that they did was this larger headstock, and that's the way that you can see that CBS era, which is where the headstock was significantly larger, which a lot of people were really disgruntled about. It said it threw the instrument off balance, not just visually, but also physically. And then, after CBS, no longer owned the company, actually you started to see Strats being released with what they called then the modern headstock, which was actually the original size, smaller headstock. And then some models, with the bigger headstock, because I think Hendrix had a few CBS Strats with bigger headstock, so people still wanted bigger headstock Strats because Hendrix had one and stuff. So now you see guitars with small and large headstocks. So you're absolutely right, buddy. Do you know, incidentally, the reason why that larger headstock existed?
I haven't a clue. Not the foggiest. What was the reason?
So that was a deliberate move because the CBS, in their wisdom, decided that the branding on the Fender Strat wasn't visible or prominent enough, and they wanted more real estate with which to display the Stratocaster logo and all of the stuff that fits on the headstock. So they just said, "Can you make that headstock bigger so we can put bigger decals on it?" Because you can't see them. So that was that.
That's cynical about that, isn't there? Something I don't like about that.
It's not a player-focused, it's a marketing-focused adjustment rather than a player-centric adjustment. So there you go. Good, buddy. Yeah, you nailed it. You got it. You got it.
Thank you. My impeccable run continues. Anyway, question number 8 for Kieran. Right, are you ready? You should get this one, I think. I don't know. Which guitarist played the devil in the guitar battle in the movie Crossroads?
Well, you say I should get this. I have never seen the film Crossroads. And I'm a child of the 80s, so that's just ridiculous. And I'm a huge fan of the Karate Kid, and I watched the Karate Kid films religiously growing up. And the latest incarnation, Cobra Kai, by which by the way, if you haven't watched Cobra Kai and you like the original Karate Kid films, do yourself a favour.
Really?
Oh.
Maybe I should do that. I do like the Karate Kid.
Did you like the original Karate Kid films?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought.
And you've not seen Cobra Kai on Netflix?
Cobra Kai, no.
Dude, I'm about to give you the best gift ever, or rather Netflix is. Seriously, lock yourself away. I don't know if Lucy is a fan of the original Karate Kid films. If she is, then
certainly not. But
right, so this is one for you. This is a self-indulgent moment for you, my friend, and you will relive your youth. It is an absolute pleasure. Anyway, why do I say that? Well, because
just to say, by the way, you haven't given me a correct answer yet.
Oh, sorry, Steve Vai. Steve Vai. Sorry, Steve Vai. Yeah, Steve Vai plays the devil in the Crossroads guitar duel. But Ralph Macchio plays the young guitarist, who I think it was Ry Cooder that did all the guitar work, actually, because Ralph Macchio.
I think you're right. Yeah.
Ralph Macchio was far too busy being a karate expert. If 80s pop culture has taught me anything, so he couldn't. Although his miming of guitar is quite phenomenal, I must say, but it wasn't him. It was Ry Cooder that did all of the guitar work.
Well, I think that Ry Cooder point that you've just made is worthy of an additional point there, because that is super extra knowledge there, because everyone's going to remember Steve Vai and everyone's going to remember Ralph Macchio's performance there as well in that duel that they have. But to point out that it was Ry Cooder playing the guitar for Ralph Macchio's parts is so. You've earned back an additional point there.
I'm not sure I have. Shall I tell you the only reason I know that is because of a former Guitar Smarts podcast guest hero and exceptional buddy of mine, Mr. Damien Lodrick, who again is a huge fan of the Karate Kid and still like berates me because I haven't seen Crossroads, the guitar film, and he then waxed lyrical to the point of being red in the face at, it's Steve Vai, it's Ry Cooder, it's Ralph Macchio, it's everything that you love. How have you not seen this? So the only reason I know it is because
it's everything you love.
The only reason I know this is because I've been berated so many times by Damo for not having seen this, that he's told me it's Ry Cooder. But I have watched that guitar battle on YouTube quite a lot. That particular scene quite a lot, and it's pretty awesome.
Epic.
It's pretty awesome.
I need to watch that film.
It's pretty awesome.
Well done, mate. There you go.
Me too. Well we should watch it with Damo.
We should, shouldn't we? That's something we need to do. But I am giving you 2 points for that, because that is worthy of a couple of points. So,
wow, that's very kind.
That does bring you generous man. Back up to 8 points after 8 questions.
You're just injecting some tension back into the quiz.
Yeah, I know. Take it down to the wire.
Okay, mate. Right, question 8 for you.
Okay.
Again, I'm sorry, mate. I think most of your questions are, in fact, guitar history.
No, it's fine. That's all good. It's all good.
But I think you do well with these. So I think you know the answer to this already. It's a linked question to my previous one around around the sell of Fender.
Okay.
But now this is related to Leo himself. Mm-hmm. So what company did Leo Fender start after he sold Fender to CBS?
Oh, see, this is a tough one, because I'm pretty certain I know what company he went to, but I don't know if he started the company. But I'm going to guess anyway. I think it was Music Man. Is that correct? Is that correct?
It was.
Right, okay. Because it was. Was it Sterling Ball who he started it with? Or, I don't know, Ernie Ball, of course. It was Ernie Ball, wasn't it? Ernie Ball.
I actually don't know.
Pretty certain Music Man was Leo Fender and Ernie Ball.
Yeah.
And they started Music Man, because obviously Music Man is now owned by and run by Sterling Ball, Ernie Ball's son. I think. But cool, so it was Music Man.
It was Music Man, which I didn't know, and I think you might have told me this before, but I'd definitely forgotten this one. But yeah, I was surprised. It was Music Man in 1971. But he didn't stop there, Mr. Leo Fender. He went on to found another company that is still going to this day as his Music Man. Do you know which one that is?
I think so, yeah. It was G&L, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. So in 1979, he founded G&L.
Yeah.
So, that just makes sense when you look at some of the G&L guitars that are there and you go, actually, these are really great guitars. A lot based on Fender designs. But there you go.
Imagine how good Leo Fender's guitars would have been if he actually played guitar. Did you know he didn't even play guitar?
I did, yeah.
How crazy is that?
I know. It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Very interesting.
Is that why we've ended up with very, very useful, easy guitars rather than things that have nonsense subjectivity to it that actually, because if you have to play it, do you know what I mean? If you ask a player to design it, they'd stick all this random stuff on that they think is going to make a difference, where actually you get an engineer to do it who just goes, no, that doesn't make a difference. This makes a difference, and
that's a good point. That if you get somebody who's never seen a guitar before, and you put a Fender Strat next to a Gibson arch top, like an L5 or something like that from the 50s, and say one of those is built by an instrument builder and one of them's designed by an engineer, it'd be obvious, which is engineer designed. I think. Yeah. Oh, it seems me being an engineer, I feel like I would spot that. Anyway,
I think you should get 2 points. I think you should get 2 points for that. But as do our Guitar Smarts listeners, I'm sure, because you've got Music Man and G&L. But there you go. Well, hey. Question number
9 for you, Kieran. Right, I've got a couple of Lou Theory kind of theme questions for you for the last two. Not that you should. Not. Well, anyway, I guess let me crack on with them instead of fumbling around trying to explain. So, question number 9, Kieran. Which famous Gibson luthier was responsible for leading the team that designed and built the Gibson Les Paul, and whose name was given tribute on a PRS model guitar?
Is it Ted McCarthy?
Correct. Well done. Ted McCarthy, yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Very famous luthier.
Yeah, I thought I knew it, but then the PRS bit helped me out. That sealed the deal.
I didn't know until recently that he was a Gibson guy, actually, for so long, because obviously the first I heard of him was the fact that PRS had the McCarthy model, which is very clearly a tribute to the Les Paul, in so many ways. But I didn't realise that then I should have put 2 and 2 together. Didn't realise he was formerly the Gibson guy.
Yeah, many of them were.
There we go.
Cool.
So 9 for 9 so far, thanks to your double-pointed answer in number 8.
Okay. I got helped out a little bit. Yeah. Right, buddy. You're going to love this next question.
All right, go on.
Right. It's a very simple question. Who played guitar on Michael Jackson's song Beat It? That's the biggest pause in Guitar Smarts podcast. We almost had the emergency audio kick in there.
I think I'm going to get 2 points for this answer.
I think you are now. So that wasn't a pause of, oh, sugar, I don't know the answer to this one. That was a pause of bracing yourself because wisdom is about to spill forth. Go on.
So, Eddie Van Halen played the guitar solo.
Correct.
But Steve Lukather was the session guitarist on that record, and he played all the rhythm guitar parts.
Correct. Who played bass on that guitar? Who played bass on that guitar? Who played bass on that track?
Steve Lukather.
There you go.
Steve Lukather.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I knew he did the rhythm parts on it, and obviously everybody knows Eddie and his tapping shenanigans. On the solo of it, but I didn't realise Lukather also played the bass on that track.
Yeah, and that was just circumstantial. The story behind it is so back then when they were still running tape for recording studios, and they were probably still on things like 12 track or maybe 24 track. If you wanted to get more than 24 tracks recorded, or more than the tape machine could do, you would link up multiple tape machines, and they would have a digital code called a sumpty code, which which basically made sure all the tape machines knew exactly where they were in a point in time. So you could link up multiple tapes and they'd all play back and record in time. And the story that I've read so far in Steve Lukather's book on this is that somebody had actually cut that code that linked the tapes up. And Quincy Jones didn't want to lose two things that were on one of the tapes. One of them was Michael Jackson's lead vocal and Eddie Van Halen's first generation guitar solo. That guitar solo that he did, and is still on the record, is the first thing he recorded in the session. It's the first take. That knocking you hear that sounds like a door. That's Eddie Van Halen checking his guitar's working.
Checking his trem.
He's tapping the pickup. Yeah. He's like, bang, bang, bang. Yeah, it's working. It's not meant to be part of the song. It sounds like a door knock and it fits the song perfectly. But it was him just checking his guitar's work.
Oh, this is a level of knowledge I was not ready for. This is taking it so much deeper. This is brilliant.
So they accidentally make this mistake of cutting the code that lines the tape up, and they have to save those two parts. They have to re-record the rest of the rhythm track, but it's not synced up with the rest of the tape. Jeff Porcaro's playing drums on that.
Yeah.
And he notices that the whole time Michael Jackson's doing his singing take, when he's not singing, he's banging 2 and 4 on a drum case just to kind of keep rhythm. And you can hear it in the microphone. So Jeff Porcaro records a click track with his drumsticks based off Michael Jackson's hitting 2 and 4.
No way.
And they record a new click track that they use to then resync the tape and re-record some of the parts. That's an incredible story, actually.
That's a ridiculously cool story.
That entire take of that song, the song that went on to be Beat It that you hear, it was rescued from almost being lost by Jeff Porcaro. By Toto, basically. Toto basically saved that record. They basically Steve Lukather and Jeff Porcaro, and Steve Lukather then re-recorded the bass guitar part that was lost on one of the tapes.
Wow.
So incredible story.
I felt I might have a chance at throwing you on who played bass on that, but I was not prepared for that level of and depth of answer. So 1 million points to Matthew Oliver on question number 9.
Thank you.
For relaying a story that just gave me goosebumps just listening to it, just imagining that whole scenario, and then Toto saving the day. That's just beautiful. That's given me chills.
It's a great story, and actually, there's a couple of good videos on YouTube as well of Steve Lukather explaining that story. Right. So I really recommend go out there and find videos of the story of Steve Lukather explaining.
Is that in the book as well? Because I know you're reading the...
Yes, absolutely. It's in the book as well.
I'm going to have to read that.
Great story.
Wonderful, mate. Okay, we are on to the last questions.
Last questions. Okay, number 10, question for you, Kieran, and you should get this one.
Okay.
What was the name of the revolutionary locking tremolo system that gained popularity in the 1980s through its use by guitarists such as Eddie Van Halen, Neil Schon of Journey, and Steve Vai?
I hate setting up Floyd Rose drums. It takes forever, but they are very good. Once you've balanced them and set them up, they work beautifully. But the back and forth when you're setting them up on a guitar, it's just frustrating. But they're very cool. They're a very cool invention. They're a very cool invention.
Very cool invention indeed. Invented by, of course, Mr. Floyd Rose.
Mr. Floyd Rose.
Yeah. Floyd Rose tremolo system. So there you go. My first electric guitar, a Charvette, that was actually picked out by my guitar teacher in a guitar shop in Manchester when me and my dad went with him to choose my first electric guitar from an old acoustic that is still at my mum and dad's house. It was a Charvel Charvette, so like a cheaper Charvel, in red and black crackle with a Floyd Rose tremolo.
That's cool.
And it was a great guitar. I have an eBay saved search for Charvette guitars, and I have for about the last 7 years. And if that exact model of guitar, that same finish comes up, I'm getting it.
You have to get it.
I miss that guitar.
Oh man! So that finish it doesn't come up. Does the model come up on eBay?
There's a 1 or 2 Charvettes, not the model I used to have. It might take years, but I will get that guitar again for sure.
Guitar Smart's audience, please help Matthew Oliver be reunited with said guitar. What is it? A Charvel Charvette
Yes, sherbet.
And what was the name of the finish?
It was like a red and black crackle. So it was like red, but it looked like it had black cracks all over it. It was very metal.
Sounds very Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was really. It was a shred machine. It had a pointy headstock and everything.
Oh, wow, man.
It was a great guitar. I loved it.
Awesome.
I miss it.
Awesome.
But well done, Kieran. So,
well, thank you, mate.
You were there at the end of your journey of questions. I think I got there.
I think you've been very kind. I feel I've been very cruel with my last question, so forgive me. But to be honest, after the answer that you gave to your question number 9, you've won the quiz anyway by a million points. So your last question, and I kind of had to Google this as I wrote it because I didn't know the answer to this at all, but I was intrigued to know what the answer was. So what is currently the world's most expensive guitar? And bonus points for if you know who owns it. But that's just an aside. What is the world's most expensive guitar?
What, as in not the most expensive production guitar?
No, sorry, I should clarify.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, so like we talked about Blackie selling in 2000
so a single millions. Guitar that belonged to someone and okay.
Right. That has gone on sale and been paid a ludicrous sum of money for. So what is on record as being the highest amount paid for a guitar? And what guitar is that?
Wow. So Clapton's Blackie obviously broke the record, but that was way back in the early 2000s.
It was 2004. So this one sold in 2015. If that helps.
Okay. I really don't know the answer to this, Kieran, but I'm going to guess at is it Hendrix Monterey Strat or something like that?
That would have been a good guess. That would have been a very good guess, mate, because that is in the top 10.
Oh, is it really? Okay.
Yeah, but it's not the one. The title of the most expensive guitar in the world, and I didn't know this. And actually, mate, I hadn't even heard of this guitar until I Googled this question earlier today when writing this quiz. But the guitar was as a result of Bryan Adams looking to raise money in a project called Reach Out to Asia as a result of the 2004 earthquake and tsunamis. So it sadly killed, in excess of 200,000 people across 14 countries. So a bunch of rock stars got together and do what they do best, which is let's raise some money for charity and help people. So Bryan Adams spearheaded this. So that was the only reason I thought you might get it, because I know you're a Bryan Adams fan. So he got together a guitar with Fender, and it's a Strat. It's a fairly run-of-the-mill looking Strat. It's a white Strat, but it does have a kind of very unusual, almost charcoal coloured headstock and neck to it, which looks quite cool. But he got that guitar signed by pretty much every single artist that you can think of that is associated with the guitar. So there's 19 artists signatures on this guitar, ranging from Jimmy Page, Jagger, Clapton, Keith Richards, Brian May, Gilmour signed it, Jeff Beck signed it, Gallagher's signed it, Angus Young, Bryan Adams, obviously. The list goes on. So, this guitar has got all the great and the good rock gods of guitar signature on it. And it sold in 2015 for $2.7 million. Sold at Sotheby's, making it the most expensive guitar sold in history. And it was sold off to the guitar royal family, and a particular part of that family that specializes in antiquities and art. So it's in the Middle East.
That's a lot of money for a Strat.
Well, if you're part of the guitar royal family. That's probably
that's true.
That's probably just like
Sunday dinner, isn't it?
It's like buying a Burger King or something. I don't know. as in like a burger, not like a franchise.
That's it. Yeah. Wow. Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
To have done.
I didn't know that. So there you go. There's the first Guitar Smarts pub quiz. And actually, mate, I don't think we did too badly, considering we had no prior knowledge of these questions. This is all just based on what we know. We've helped each other out. We've thrown it together. We've helped each other out along the way. I think I'm gonna definitely claim you as the or appoint you as the official winner of this one, with your encyclopedic knowledge and particularly that story about how Toto saved that track. That's I'm going to go and listen to Luca though talking about that today. That sounds cool. So well done, buddy.
I think we're all winners today. I think everyone's a winner today, don't you?
I don't think there's any losers today. The educational content is high today. Very
exactly.
high.
Exactly. If you're learning, you're not losing. That's what I always say. Brilliant. Well, there we go, buddy. Plans for the week?
Plans for the week is start learning the set list of a new function band that I'm going to be depping for this year, and just start to get to grips with some of those songs. So I might call you up when I get stuck, because I know these are songs that you know. And so no if I text you about learning some songs, that'll be what that is. So yeah, I've got to get my head around that. And apart from that, yeah, man, just the ever yearning quest to acquire more guitars and learn to be a better player will continue into 2022.
Yeah. That will always be the same. And same for me. I've got a gig tomorrow, actually.
Oh, brilliant.
Saturday, the 22nd of Jan. So
great.
I've got a gig, first gig of the year, just with some mates for a 60th birthday party somewhere.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
looking forward to playing that. Looking forward to getting the Helix out and
nice.
checking my patches tonight and a bit of practice. And then, yeah.
Oh, I have a brilliant gig, mate. I didn't realise you had a gig tomorrow. Oh, that sounds fantastic. And the Helix gets to get warmed up and get out there. Yeah, brilliant, fantastic.
Good stuff.
Have a
buddy.
great gig.
Well, have a cracking weekend, mate. Have a good week. Looking forward to next week's chat, and take care of yourself. Till then.
Always. Cheers, buddy. Take care.
All the best, mate. Bye-bye. Thanks as always for listening to this week's episode of the Guitar Smarts podcast. We hope you've enjoyed it and maybe you learned something too. Tell us what you think on our social media pages on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see you for more Guitar Smarts next week. Bye-bye.